So, hi everyone, and welcome to a special recording. We are going to be talking about Star Wars, a Rise of a Skywalker. I can never remember where the goes and which way around all the words are.
I don't think that is the problem.
No, that is only the start of our discussion. I am joined by the wonderful Laura Stuart-Berry. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
You've really wanted to talk about this.
Okay, it makes me sound like a nutter, but yes, I do.
I mean, you've really wanted to talk about this. Why?
Well, I need to talk to somebody, and you insisted we record it, so.
Why?
This is catharsis for me.
Yeah, why this one? Why has this stood out as like, oh, I have all the thoughts?
I think the thing is, I want to talk about any of them when I've seen them.
Okay.
This one, because I'm quite conflicted on it. And it was not what I was expecting. Perhaps it was what I should have expected. Yeah, I went in expecting something very different and came out not too sure how I felt about it.
Okay.
And then had to go and see it again and was a little more certain about how I felt, but we can go into that. How about you?
Have you seen it just the twice? Just to wrap that up?
Yeah, just twice, okay. Which in itself, normally there's a few more times with the Star Wars.
Yeah. Pretty much the same. We went to see it on opening weekend, I think the day after it came out, because it came out on a Thursday for reasons. I think I am more disappointed than you, but I have very high expectations for Star Wars in general, and the last one in a series, so we'll probably touch on that quite deeply. But in the same way, yes, really want to talk to people about this, and it's almost now reached the stage of like, can people stop mentioning Star Wars? Can Star Wars themselves stop mentioning Star Wars just for a bit?
Oh my God. The feed where they keep telling us behind the scenes and explain what's going on.
Right.
You're like, oh God, no, I don't want that revelation.
There was a great suggestion the other day of they should just release a film that has nothing to do with Star Wars that we've seen and just let the Twitter feed deal with how it links.
Yeah, no, I love that one.
So, what were you expecting? If it was different than you expected, what were you hoping for? What did you think you were going to get?
I think what I was hoping for is a continuation of The Last Jedi.
Okay.
So I will hands up. I adored The Last Jedi.
Okay.
I really enjoyed The Force Awakens, because it was Star Wars again, and it was very Star Wars, and it was that great. I thought what J.J. Abrams did with it was fantastic because, yes, it was basically A New Hope again, but it was different enough, but it really grounded it again. It was that kind of reassurance that I think everybody needed after the prequels, which I think are fine, but they aren't quite up there with the original trilogy.
Okay.
And so I think really it was just that the Last Jedi was such an impressive film to me, as well as being a Star Wars film.
Okay.
And so I just wanted the next step, and the one that was going to wrap up this trilogy, and then the trilogy of trilogies, and it's going to be amazing. And I don't feel that's what I got.
Okay, so I think I'm in the same place. I wanted. It's almost hard the year that it came out, the year that Endgame came out, because I wanted Endgame. Huge expectations for that. I wanted Endgame to contextualize the 20 films that come before it, and it did. I think there's only one or two films it never touches on, but it actually, it really does say this has been a series, and we're now going to give you a culmination. And the fact they were advertising this, the marketing for this was, this is the culmination of 9 films, ending the Skywalker saga. It's like, okay, they're going to do something really interesting with this. This is going to, really take us places. And yeah, I'm not sure they did.
It's interesting actually when you say it, because absolutely, I think it suffered from the fact that I saw it not that long after Avengers Endgame, which I've seen 6 or 7 times in the cinema now, including IMAX recently, which was fantastic.
Nice.
And that, oh my God, I had such high hopes, and I came out, my hopes absolutely exceeded, just static, including the many times after that. But it's interesting you're saying that about, the reason that the Endgame worked so well was that it wrapped up it pulled together all of those films. But I suppose someone could very reasonably argue, well, this film pulled together lots of things because of all of the references. But here they just felt like they were kind of, I don't know, emotionally it didn't tie it together maybe. And I do think that is because of my love of The Last Jedi. All of the references to The Last Jedi seem to be in order to either pretend The Last Jedi didn't exist or to out and out reverse things that happened in The Last Jedi. But then a lot of the stuff that was callbacks, which we'll go into, or calls back if you're a Western fan. I'm stealing this from the Empire podcast when they were talking about it, but it just completely summed up what I was thinking, in that it was like they'd gone out to one of the Reddit threads where there were all the kind of fanboys who weren't happy about The Last Jedi, which is completely fine if you don't like it, but the ones who were, really toxic about it, and said, what is it you would like that would make you happy? Mm-hmm. And they basically put that on film.
Right, yeah.
With good stuff as well. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of fun stuff to talk about. But as far as when I think about it, all of the things that I love from the film are kind of generally small details.
Okay.
And all of the things that I dislike, or a lot of things I dislike, are the bigger things. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you're right that it's down to references more doing the work of the stuff that's come before. Bringing Palpatine back. I mean, for me, that's immense. Palpatine is the thing that makes Star Wars great for me, and the thing that makes the prequels great. Because the prequels are not great, frankly. But the stuff that's good in them is that he got to power through machinations, not through dominating people, not through assassinations and so on. It was just moving pieces on a board, being 12 steps ahead of everyone else, and then, finally getting into power and wielding it in the right way. So bringing him back is like, oh, you see, he was even ahead of perhaps he might be killed.
Wielding it in the right way.
To stay in power that long.
Oh, okay.
In the first film, he is legitimately elected to become the new Chancellor.
Yes.
And then starts a war, which means he can get power he's given powers to stay in Chancellorship for longer. And, it's clever moves to stay in power, not just right now I'm in power, I'm going to make an army and make you all fear me. That kind of thing. So this could have been, and see, he was even steps ahead of him being killed by Darth Vader and bringing himself back or putting himself in a new body and all this. That's not touched on. It's just, that guy who was really scary and really evil, well, he's back for reasons.
And I felt a lot of the things, though, were, you remember that thing before that you loved? Oh, it's back.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, so the first time I went to the film, I was, as I say, so excited, and just sat down. And I just was a bit eye-rolly through it. Whenever the first few callbacks, you're like, fine, absolutely, you love, I love Easter eggs, that's great. But then as the film went on, I was just like eye-rolling, and but then the second time I went in, and I'm like, come on, don't be ridiculous. This is a Star Wars film. I mean, in essence, they're for kids. Go in just looking at it as a Star Wars film, not looking at it as the film that came after The Last Jedi and will now be the future of Star Wars. And I enjoyed it much more the second time. But I had zero emotional connection with it.
Right.
Which I think, and I need that really for it to land. Because whenever we then had the Easter eggs, callbacks, whatever you want to call them, it felt like J.J. Abrams was sat next to me, nudging, saying, remember that thing? That was really cool, wasn't it? There it is again! With no context.
Yeah.
So,
It's just such a weird take to it. And the thing overall, and there's a lot of stuff I would complain about. The thing that really gets to me is they put this film together and potentially made mistakes for our view on it and did things that weren't as good as they should have been. But they did that in the writing and then the filming and then the editing. And then executive people watched this and went, yeah, let's make money off this. This is great. So, I mean, at some point, did it morph from what they wanted? Or how did a lot of people make decisions,
There's lots of conspiracies, aren't there, about just it not being the film J.J. Abrams wanted and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, I think if this had followed The Force Awakens 2, then I would have loved it.
Right.
But the main thing is I think The Last Jedi expanded the universe away from the bloodline. And that was, that was the bloodline, and that was great for the chosen one, and everything was great for the original trilogy. But we've done that to death.
Yeah.
And this idea, particularly with Rey's lack of lineage, and then at the very end with Broom Boy. This idea of moving away from the bloodline, it's like, with Spider-Man, there's the idea that anyone can wear the mask. You can wear the mask, so I could be a Jedi, which is ridiculous for a 40-year-old woman to think, but and it's setting up this idea that what Star Wars could be in the future, very much respectful of the past, but this is what it could be in the future. And it just felt, just bringing pulps back, fine, if they'd set it up in any way, but I mean, clearly it seems to be decided for the final film. If there's any kind of hint, or even if he'd come back, that's great, but it's making Rey his granddaughter is the bit that kind of sticks. And I know obviously JJ had set something up beforehand, obviously at the end, and there's a very good argument that Rian Johnson pulled apart The Force Awakens in The Last Jedi, by killing off Snoke and
possibly for the better,
and saying that they had, and saying that Rey didn't have any parentage, but
But then they literally undo that by saying, "Oh no, yeah, I wasn't quite truthful when I told you that thing that I was like, this is absolutely the truth." Like, it's frustrating.
I think the thing, because to be fair to them, the position that Rian Johnson left them in is either go big and continue expanding this, or desperately twist yourself in pretzel shapes to get back to where you were. To then, and I think that's why we're now ending up with a lot of these things coming out on Twitter explaining, oh, that's right, why that was happening.
Yeah.
And much as it really pains me to say, what with all of my gender balance work, etc., is that I think I probably lay the blame at Kathleen Kennedy's door.
Okay.
And this sticks me in with a lot of Star Wars fanboys who I would not normally want to be in the same
absolutely
group as. But this was not a coherent trilogy.
No,
it doesn't appear there was any plan.
Mm-hmm.
The plan was 3 different directors, 3 different auteurs. That's nuts. When it's going to be a trilogy, if you don't know to start with.
Yeah,
but,
to have not planned
plan.
anything out. This feels like 3 different films with just the same characters, but no cohesion. And it's that's almost more frustrating than in not wrapping up the 9, because it could have done that, but I would have forgiven them if they said, no, this is just this trilogy. It doesn't even wrap up this trilogy. This film has things of, hey, Rey, I need to tell you something. And that Chekhov's gun is sat there, like, with someone on the trigger and it's not going off. Which that would be brave. I would buy that if the film did other things well, but it's another thing that you go, it's just something else that didn't work amongst lots of things that didn't work.
But that's the thing, isn't it? For stuff like that to work, you need to have the trust that it's been done deliberately, and that everything else is, is coherent and what have you. So that when it happens, you go, "Oh, they left that ambiguous." Yeah. Whereas, to be honest, you go away going, "Did they just forget?"
Yeah, and like you say, there could be so much from the Last Jedi that goes in here, even if you're not trying to undo stuff. They introduce the horse creature things that they ride on the Star Destroyer.
They're just horses.
Are they just horses? Okay.
I mean, well, no, they're meant to be some weird space horse thing, but they just look like horses with like a headdress on.
But we had interesting space creatures that you could ride in the last film. Why are we not using them again? And like, let's swing by that planet and pick them up or something. I mean, I hate the casino sequence. I would trash that entirely. Like you saying, you don't want to blame Kathleen Kennedy because it lumps you in with the fanboys. I want to like The Last Jedi, so I'm not one of those people, but I also want it to be a taut thriller where people don't go off on a little jolly in the middle of the film. But you've introduced creatures that can ride really fast and do interesting things like that. Why are you doing new ones? So,
well, look, actually, we shouldn't be criticising. After everything we've just said, we should not be criticising J.J. Abrams for doing something new.
Yeah. No, that's fair, because the thing with The Force Awakens, I can remember watching The Force Awakens coming out going, oh yes, that was Star Wars, it was amazing. And then on the train home going, there was a lot of Star Wars in that Star Wars. I could have done with less Star Wars. So
I don't know, I've always felt that absolutely valid, but I've always thought that was almost a reassurance. No, not almost, that was a total reassurance that, look guys, this is Star Wars, you're not going to get the prequels again. So I can forgive him for the first one, absolutely.
Yep.
Doing it at the end of the trilogy, no, you need some new ideas now.
And one of my complaints with The Last Jedi is there is the moment in the middle where you have that spectacular fight, one of the great fights of Star Wars, and Kylo goes to Rey. He's like, join me and we can rule the universe. They make the same choices they've always made before, which, again, they do slightly differently in this film at least, but just take it somewhere different at that point. And anyway, what we've not mentioned is Rey.
Yes.
Interestingly, because I think she's one of the things that comes out of this pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. She's the character, but also I think Daisy Ridley's performance, I think, is much stronger. I thought she was good in the other ones as well, but it just feels quite a coherent character now. So what was your take?
I think she wasn't given enough to do in this in some ways. Because part of the thing is they're still trying to give everyone a story again. Like they've done in the previous films. It's, you have to have Finn's story and Poe's story and Rey's story and other stuff going on as well. You have the Empire stuff going on, the First Order stuff going on. I would have liked some of that tone back to give her more of a chance to dig into the emotion of it and dig into the character of it. But what she does get is really good. She absolutely delivers the, no, I'm not a Palpatine, I can't be, tell me I'm not. And then her fears that come out of, like, I am worried I'm going to turn to the dark side. I am worried I'm going to turn evil. And I've had this vision that tells me I'm going to. So, terrible things. And I buy it. I love the character for that. I think she's one of the better Jedis we've had going through this stuff.
Yes. I think that's interesting because looking at this film, the problem, it was a while ago since I saw it, but I'm just thinking, I think she's the one that has the strongest story, isn't she? I mean,
yeah, she has
Finn
the A story.
Nothing to do.
But I would have taken out some of the other elements, I think.
So what would you edit?
The First Order stuff, probably. I think we get way too much time with them. I'm worrying about Star Destroyers and who's the spy and the informant and Richard E. Grant.
But he was good.
Because Richard E. Grant's in this film. I mean,
I know, but he was damn good in the role.
There's no point to
having him. Didn't really need the role. Yeah. No, I know. I'm trying to. Look, I've said this isn't going to be just me bitching about a film for this. So I'm going to find the positive.
And I think the stuff with Finn and Poe, particularly with them meeting attractive women and having interesting interplay, because we have to have that with everyone now, because these guys are not into each other. Don't worry, guys.
No, this is super straight man.
Pull all of that back. Give Rey even more time to be quiet and dwell on things. I'm comparing it to something like Return of the Jedi, where you see, and Empire, in fact, in some ways, but particularly Return, you see Luke thinking about things and just long shots of him and Vader and quiet moments where stuff's going on. So I'm not sure we got enough of that. I'm not sure whether I could take it in the time that I've seen it. So
the thing is with this film, there's a hell of a lot in it. And definitely, I think you're doing very well on the basis that when I first left the cinema, other than my impressions of the film, probably couldn't have told you a lot that happened because just so much is packed in. It's very really dense. To the point now, I think, where people have been saying there should have been a 10th film in order to actually just try and tell it in a less rushed way. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I actually liked what they did with her. And I do think when I think of the other characters, I think she definitely sort of has the best arc. If you look at, well, we'll come on to look at the other characters properly, but the tension between her and Kylo, she really played the whole revulsion at the idea of being a Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's good at all that. I think she delivers on the character side, and I quite like her fighting stuff. They have choreographed it very well in these, and they get a good few chances to do that, which is nice. Again, perhaps one too many. Perhaps the fight on the Death Star could have been excised, but fine.
But not the water stuff.
Possibly, maybe. Oh yeah, no. This is the problem, isn't it? It's good stuff. Do we need them fighting again in the third film running?
But they got all wet.
And he's got long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an absolutely valid thing. He can still go to the wet planet. It's fine. I will allow you to have that. I will take the fight out. Han Solo can turn up. Han Solo can also get wet.
He's a memory, Matthew. He can't get wet.
Yes, yeah. Not a Force ghost. Other people show up as ghosts. Han Solo's different, doing the same thing. It's fine.
Not a Jedi. Or Force sensitive.
Kylo then. They have a lot of fights, but they do have a lot of interactions through those fights, which is quite nice.
Yeah. I must say, one of the things I did absolutely love was this film's use of the Force Skype and taking it to that next level where there was actually the kind of building interaction, which then takes you right up to the lightsaber swap.
Yep.
Which we both put in our notes. That was one of our favourite things.
Yeah, it's so good.
So well done. I'm really enjoying gushing all of a sudden. This is what it's meant to be like when we talk about Star Wars. And yeah, the way that they sort of built that, and in particular the one where I can't remember who it is, but someone lightsabers the plinth that Darth Vader's helmet's on. That scene, so there's the white room that she's in his bedroom, I assume,
yes.
and then there's the red berries at the location he's in, and so when the red berries all spill, and then I thought that was done incredibly well.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
Like that as a building on what had happened the last time and saying that it was Snoke or Palpatine who'd linked them, but it's now a power they have. I have enjoyed, particularly in this film, how they've expanded Force powers. Because there's a little bit, particularly in the prequels, that they go, right, these are the powers Force-sensitive people have and no more. Lightning, push, pull, bit of psychic stuff, that kind of thing. But in here, we're now going, actually, there's healing, there's people who can project themselves, there's people who can channel other people and do things. And now we've got this, we can actually swap physical things and see things around people. It's nice because it takes it back into the realm of magic, which I think it is supposed to be, rather than a creature that allows you to do a few intense things because everything is connected.
Yeah. A creature? You think the Force is a creature?
They're midichlorians that live in your blood that allow you to link to every other...
Yeah, no, that never happened. That never happened. Yeah, absolutely. I think the idea of the magic, and particularly because I think isn't the idea, again, this is from probably the Twitter account telling us what was meant to happen, but I think isn't this idea that because they're a dyad in the Force, have you seen that whole thing? That is why there's this connection between the two of them specifically.
It's nice.
But yeah, that was one of my absolute can gush about and really enjoyed elements. I mean, thinking of Kylo otherwise, I loved the look of his reconstructed helmet.
Okay.
I didn't love the fact that it was reconstructed.
Okay.
No, that's not fair because the thing is, it was such a cool look in Force Awakens, and so in a way, it was like, oh, cool, he's back in the helmet and everything. But the fact that it was reconstructed to me just felt like a whole middle finger up.
Yeah, from someone who had a whole thing of kill the past, destroy it if you have to, or destroy the past, kill it if you have to. And that was him doing that thing and moving into a different sort of character. So, yeah, give him a different look. Give him something to go with in this one and sell a few more toys. But now it's repurpose the toys but put some cracks in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
No, go ahead.
I think the lightsaber thing works because unlike a lot of the other stuff, it's not lampshaded as this is what we're doing. It's actually a little subtle. There were probably people who picked up on it faster than I did, but when he suddenly moved, and you're like, oh, that's what they've done. That's very clever. Whereas I think a lot of the other stuff, they make us think that Chewbacca's killed, and then instantly, no, it's fine. He's okay. Which is leaning into it being a child's film, a film for families. So it's not so upsetting for the kids, but it's just, well, why do it then?
The thing is, I think I completely get it, and that's something we always need to remind ourselves. These are meant to be kids' films. which I'm afraid I just don't look at it that way until I remind myself. But I think it's the thing with Chewie. I just didn't believe it. I mean, that would be a massive thing, and by all means, as Kylo says, kill the past.
Yeah.
But yes, if you needed a big death or what have you, but it's the fact that it's just immediately undone. Immediately undone.
Yeah.
So yeah. But while we're talking Kylo looks, the Ben jumper look obviously was a big plus.
It's that thing of how they dress people for like Men's Health magazine and how they dress people for Good Housekeeping. And yeah, he goes into that look that he's like, yeah, he's a good looking man when he's not trying to be all, I'm scary and stuff.
It's because, to be honest, I mean, Adam Driver, amazing actor, but have never been particularly. I think, Kylo is more attractive with the helmet on because it's it sounds really horrible because it's a really cool helmet.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, there was something then, when he shifted into the. I don't know if it because of so much going on, and the problem is I will buy this film when it's available, so that I can watch it again.
Okay.
But because of so much going on, I'm not sure whether he was actually doing or not. But maybe there was something around the, with Superman. What was he called? Clark. Christopher Reeves. The difference in his performance when he was Clark Kent versus Superman. And so maybe Driver was doing something like that, which I just didn't catch. But definitely, when he turned up his jumper, I was like, oh, hello.
Nice. And that's it. And it's nice because they haven't done anything like that, I don't think. Not that I noticed. Daisy Ridley of other characters. They have moved away from what they did to Natalie Portman and what they did to Carrie Fisher, I think.
In what way?
So the gold bikini and Natalie Portman wears some ridiculous stuff in certainly the second film. There's a whole bit where a creature swipes at her and ends up slashing the midriff off her top.
Oh, how convenient!
Exactly. So Rey and Kylo, I think come out of it well.
Yes, although I think we do have to talk about Reylo.
Yeah, I think we do.
What's your take on Reylo? Not Reylos, the people, because they can obviously enjoy this as much as they like, and we are very supportive of that. But what's your take on Reylo?
Absolutely. I hate that they kiss.
Oh, I hate that they kiss.
In many ways, it's just absolutely redundant. And that's exactly the sort of thing I would point to as evidence of they looked on Reddit to see what people wanted. If that is the case, which it might well be, that's absolutely evidence for it. I think it's cool with tension as soon as they kiss, and because the kiss itself wasn't actually anything.
It wasn't a good kiss either.
No,
so what it looked like.
So just embrace.
Do you know what? No, I would have liked a little forehead touch.
Okay. Nice.
And then that could also left it open as to whether that was a friendly forehead touch, a brotherly forehead touch, sibling type thing, or whether it was a
something more,
something a little bit more. Yeah. But I have not picked the tension massively. This tension between them, but it never felt like sexual tension or anything like that. It was the good good and evil tension.
I think they tried for it in The Last Jedi, and your mileage might vary, particularly with him being shirtless when she's with him through the Force Skype thing.
Yeah, but I felt then her reaction to that was, can you put something on? Not, rah. Which obviously is the natural reaction when you fancy something, rah.
No, I don't know. I think I bought it a little bit as this is kind of distracting. But yeah, whether that's...
What's distracting to you thinking how wide are his nipples, but...
Whether that's what I'm watching the film for again. Next time I see The Last Jedi, that's it, only that scene. I'm going to pause it, I'm going to rewind.
Have you not seen... Oh my God. Terrifying.
What were your thoughts on the kiss and the shipping?
Yeah, like I said, just... I thought the moment was lovely. until they actually kissed. So when I just thought it was going to be an embrace or what have you, it's just when they absolutely put the line underneath it. And even if we widen that out, then the that final scene between the two of them, the one dies, the other one brings it back, the other one dies. I actually, after thinking about it for a while, quite liked that, because what the hell do you do with Ben otherwise? Because it's fine that she's always believed that the good Ben was in there, but his dad's gone, who believed in him. His mum's gone. So she's hardly going to rock up with Kylo Ren in a jumper to Finn and Poe and be like, no, it's cool now. I don't think anyone else is going to be quite so forgiving.
I think for me that would have been the better story.
Okay.
And it's something my wife said afterwards, and when we were talking about it, and actually, I that's possibly why I would agree with it. As a great point, it's an amazing point. But the idea of what if Ben shows up at the Rebel base and has to earn trust and respect back. I think he's probably done too much by that point. I'm not sure there is any way back, which is pretty much why he had to die. But at the same time, it would be so interesting again for the future of the franchise and future stories of where do you go from there?
And absolutely, if this was like the second, if this was The Force Awakens 2, then absolutely, or even if we didn't have a lot of the stuff and so this happened earlier.
And it seems like it's going to happen in The Last Jedi. That moment of come with me could have been he goes with her to join the rebellion. And that would have been amazing. If the third film is he's on the goody side. Like, wow.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, actually, that's a really nice idea. I mean, him having a redemption arc, but it doesn't wait until the final.
No, yeah, you couldn't do it at the last minute. Yeah.
Again, this is very much. It's a bit. It's Darth Vader's redemption arc, isn't it? And he dies at the end.
Yeah.
I suppose because of what you do with them otherwise. But yeah, no, as far as the actual sort of any kind of romance between them, I just didn't buy the tension that way.
No. So yeah, it's a real shame they actually went into it. And similarly, what they then do to Finn and Poe, where they're like, hey, look, they've got sexy people who like them, who are women folk, because China, please watch our film.
Oh God, yeah, and that alongside what they did with the whole making such a big fuss about the first gay kiss in Star Wars.
Oh, don't.
And when it came, and you were like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, blink and you're missing.
You're now rivaling Marvel for basically what's it, like gay baiting or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I recently saw Birds of Prey, which I won't go into any details because I don't want to ruin for anyone, but it's such fun. Please go and see it.
Let's gush about Birds of Prey. Let's do that one. Oh, yes. Sandwiches. I just want to talk sandwiches.
different podcast, but absolutely. Yeah, and oh my God, I loved it because it was just such fun. But one of the things that they did really well, which I would not normally say that DC can learn a hell of a lot from Marvel and Star Wars, but what they did really well is that there was a canonically gay character there, and they just mentioned her ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
One of the other characters were ex-girlfriend, and that was just mentioned, and that was it. And then it didn't, and she was a main character as well, and so it just didn't. And importantly, from what I saw, well, not that DC said a lot about Birds of Prey to start with anyway, in the promotion, but they're definitely, from what I could see, there wasn't any big thing of, oh my God, there's going to be a gay character.
And they kept Harley Quinn as bisexual and showed her in female relationships in some of the animation stuff. So, and yeah, it's just, that's the character. Yeah,
if you're going to do it that way. Well, do it for starters. You need to do it, but do it that way.
Absolutely.
Sorry, a slight
no, good detour. Good
tangent
detour.
there. But so
Finn and Poe.
So Poe, much as all of that annoyed me because there was the real potential to do something interesting there and groundbreaking. For those characters, Finn just felt completely wasted because he just seemed to be yelling Rey all the time.
Yeah.
And his big idea with, I can't remember the name of the new character, the ex-stormtrooper.
Janna,
well done. Please say you have that in front of you.
Yes.
If you remember that from once. Okay, fine. When we're going to do this amazing, we've got this really great idea. We're going to turn the gun on the ship, which is what Luke did with Jabba's barge, isn't it? So, I don't think they really gave him anything to do. I thought it was really cool. There were other stormtroopers that had rebelled, but that wasn't in relation to him at all, really. If he'd been this role model or something, that then caused the others, the rumor of him caused the others to be able to, I don't know. But so that with him, and then with Poe, again, I'm going to go back to The Last Jedi, but the whole arc with him where, he was learning to be a leader and what Leia was trying to teach him so he could take over I thought was really well done, and a risk because, you are criticizing one of the main elements of what makes one of your popular characters popular, this kind of dangerous flyboy thing, Han Solo. But it just felt like all of that learning that he had gone through was just, it had never happened. He's then light speed skipping, and all gung ho. Now you expect him to be that to a degree; it's part of the character, but it's just you didn't then see the learning that then meant when that Leia felt she could do what she needed to do with Kylo, when she knew that was going to be the end of her. I assume,
or seeing him in a leadership position.
Yeah.
I don't feel like in this film he was now making decisions and taking that to do anything with it. So if his arc had been, or his story had been, and he's now in the base telling them what to do, and but it's back to the first film, like you say, it's The Force Awakens too.
Yeah, I did like that Finn was Force sensitive. I thought that was, which then that gives me a bit of hope actually with this whole idea of what we lost with Broom Boy. Or lost that could have been from Broom Boy, because unless we're going to find out that now Finn actually is someone's son,
or he loves her,
grandson,
and
or
that's
something.
what he's been wanting to tell her. Because it's almost set up that it's that thing, because it's when they're about to die that he's about to tell her something, which is usually the "I love you, I know" moment.
Yeah, I know, but I'm pretty sure it's been set off. Well, they're definitely the author, so absolutely. But I'm pretty sure that John Boyega has said about that. No, it wasn't. The love thing, and he does. Well, even if that wasn't what he was going to tell her, there is stuff throughout the film that suggests he's starting to become Force sensitive, and also the fact. Well, I think it's kind of suggested that that's why he rebelled is through the Force.
Yeah, I like that read.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about Kylo dying because we couldn't use him for anything else, but of course we have our character coming back from the dead. We have Papa Palpatine showing up out of nowhere, and now he's scary.
It's pretty scary to start with.
Well, he was, but they waste what he could have been in the prequels. In the prequels, he becomes a laughing stock, and it's ridiculous when he's thrown over a table and his skirt goes over his head and stuff. It's just weird that they've taken, the most powerful character and done that to him. So in this, I think he gets a little bit of a redemption arc of like, no, actually, this dude's scary.
That was one of the things actually I thought they did very well. He was proper creepy. To the point where I was watching, I was thinking, younger kids watching this because, despite whatever rating they took on it, people are going to show this to their younger children. I thought that they did that incredibly well.
Yeah.
And also his throne was super cool.
And even the showdown at the end is actually pretty good. It's a bit melodramatic, again, compared to, for me, the heart of Star Wars, the pinnacle of Star Wars, the thing that makes the whole thing as good as it is Luke standing up and throwing away the lightsaber and saying, "I am a Jedi like my father before me. You have failed." That is the thing that makes Star Wars great. That is the moment. And the prequels add to that. I think the finale of this almost goes too big. It goes into that sort of DC space of giant beams of light into the sky, Harry Potter, giant beams going towards each other, and one is going to end up more powerful than the other. Rather than the heart choice that we see in trying to think of similar things. Someone deciding to well, in Return of the Jedi, it's Vader deciding to actually turn against the Emperor for the first time ever. That makes the difference there. And you get some of that with Ben finally helping her at the very end there, but it is still beams of light to each other and giant destruction.
It is, but the thing is, even when he was Kylo Ren, he went to Exegol to kill him.
True.
He'd been hunting him.
Yeah. He does.
Hunting Pulps. No, because Pulps gives him an offer, which involves Rey. Yeah.
So, but again, they did something a little different there, maybe. And with all the I am the Sith and then I am the Jedi. It's
yes. I did like that.
Kind of good. And if that was one of the big callbacks, it would be okay. But it almost feels like a small callback, having all these different Jedi voices coming in, compared to, oh, by the way, we've got Lando in this film.
I much preferred the Jedi voices to Lando being in the film, much as I like Lando, because he just felt very shoehorned in.
Yeah, no point to him.
It's like, we want Billy D. Williams, so we're going to shoehorn him in. And I thought he was great in it, but there is that kind of question, why is he here?
But yeah, the bit with hearing all the Jedi voices is very nice. And that is a little moment that does recontextualize stuff that came before about it's not just these 3 or 4 Jedi who have been able to go into the Force. It's actually, they're all there and there is a way of reaching them if you're as powerful as Rey. Something like that. Because even Ahsoka was in there. And,
yes.
And, we don't know what's happened to her yet, so kind of exciting. Anyway. Do you know there are female Jedi? Just not in the films.
Well, to be fair, one of the central characters is a female Jedi.
They are now. Yes, that is true.
And now
yes.
Leia is also a Jedi. Apparently.
Yes, we finally get to actually see something.
Yes.
And that training sequence and seeing that she got her own rose gold lightsaber, amazing. Love it. No?
Again, in a different context, I would have loved it.
Okay.
But it just felt like, again, the ninth, if we're looking at this, and I can't not look at this, the way that they've done it as the 9th film, to then suddenly find out after all this time that, oh by the way, she was almost a Jedi, or, fully trained Jedi. Did we not mention that?
Yeah.
And Luke not mentioning her saber when Rey was on Ashto before. Yeah. The problem is, I'm looking at the film through the frame of where we are.
Yes.
And so it then, there's certain things that I think if it had come up more naturally.
Yeah.
In The Force Awakens 2, then I would have loved it. But yes, I was like, What did you think about how they dealt with Leia, given the complications of losing Carrie Fisher?
Watching it, I thought it was good. I actually thought they came off well. That was fine. But I came out of this film thinking, oh, that's a solid 7. Not great. Could have done a lot of stuff better, but it did some stuff okay for it to be enjoyable. It has gone down in my estimation because then they say, oh yeah, we had more Rose, but we took her out so we could shoehorn in the bits of Carrie Fisher that we had. It's like, well, why are you doing that then? Why are you not giving her some sort of grand thing, such as a funeral, to open it up? And I feel like I might have stolen one of your comments there, but something to be, we're going to give her a moment and a way to honour her in this movie without taking things away from other people. Because it was frustrating how little Rose was in it. And you've now got Dominic Monaghan talking when Rose should have been talking. Things like that. So...
Well, we're kind of conflating two things there. There's the Leia issue and then there's the Rose issue. But, and I know they use the Leia as an excuse for the Rose issue.
Exactly.
But even that doesn't work to me. So firstly, I think they did a fantastic job given what they had to work with.
Absolutely.
It does mean there are a few clunky scenes where, when you are looking at it from a point of view of, it's cutting room floor. There's the conversation with Snap Wexley is incredibly weird when you look at it. Which look out for that when you see it. Thanks. But what I don't understand is this: that so then when we're looking at Rose, the argument being as to why there wasn't more Rose, that we needed to keep someone with Leia, to have that interaction with Leia and to show, and it had to be someone that we cared about. But there's barely any interaction between Leia and Rose. No. The interaction is with Leia and Rey, or Snap Wexley. And so there's plenty of other ways. Yeah, I'd say like Dermot. Is it Dermot Monaghan? Dominic Monaghan. I was going to say the elf guy. It's not the elf guy. It's the Hobbit guy.
He's a Hobbit, yeah.
The Hobbit guy, Hobbit man. Why did we have? Well, my understanding, and this might be internet rubbish, is the reason we had him is because J.J. Abrams lost a bet with him. Which, if that's true, I'm not happy about it.
That's abominable if it's true. That's just
if it's true. They are friends, so that might be internet rubbish. But he didn't need to be there. All of his lines could be Rey. No. Just basically, you could have put Rey in, not Rey. Sorry, even I'm now cutting out Rose. And the thing is, Rose is not as central a character as the original trilogy 3 or Rey, Poe, and Finn, but she's sort of the next level, I would say, based on what they've built up so far. Yeah. And she just deserves so much better. And also, Kelly Tran, she did a really good job with that. And again, it just there's that suspicion that because of all of the horrific abuse she got and complaints, that just slightly sidelined.
For everything she went through, I think it's just terrible what she gets in this. It's so disappointing.
Absolutely.
So, and if we're talking Dominic Monaghan, it takes me to Richard E. Grant, who I think is great. He is a phenomenal actor and interesting to include, but I don't know why he's in this film. I don't know what the character adds. I don't at all.
The only reason I can see one, Richard E. Grant was born to sneer.
That's true.
In a
Nazi
evil empire outfit like that. He was born for that. And I thought he did, like, the role. It was fantastic. I would have loved to see Allegiant General Pride throughout, and him actually be a Grand Moff Tarkin for these films. But yeah, I think the only reason I can see him needing to be in there is because they needed someone who knew about Palps.
Yeah.
And so therefore this idea that because Palps was pulling the puppet strings, particularly once Snoke went, that there needed to be someone then that was carrying out his commands when it came to the First Order and the Final Order.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you could really see Hux doing that and not telling Kylo.
I think from what we saw of Hux, I would have quite enjoyed it with his sort of slightly snivelling nature and how terrified he was, but also wanting to put down Kylo. If he had been in the know and thinking Kylo wasn't, that would have been quite interesting build on the dynamic we'd seen before. And especially if he was then the informant. Like, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I just, given how sort of petulant his character was, which I really, I enjoyed that. But I just don't see him not wanting to lord it over Kylo, that actually. And also we got him being snivelling in front of someone very powerful with Snoke.
So now, Palpatine's properly scary. So that would have been even more interesting.
Yeah.
I just
but
think, there's all these different elements that are added in.
No, I agree. No, as a general point, then no, absolutely. I don't think adding in, much as I loved him, we didn't need another character.
Yeah, because
that's actually, there's so many new characters in what is meant to be the final film.
Yeah. The final film, you need to strip it back and say, actually, again, like Endgame did, we're going to focus on this core, 10 people. Yes, the last one had 50. Now we're just going to bring it down to a few, and we're going to really focus on all of their stories, and that allows them to interact with some of the other people and bring them in. Amazing.
Yeah. Although, again, I have to catch us and point out that we're now complaining there's new stuff in this film. We were saying that there's not enough new stuff in it.
Well, so the flip side of looking at it is, if you're going to add in the new stuff, make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I think it's more the new story. Instead of which here, I think it just felt it was old story, but let's have space horses when we had something quite similar previously, and jam in a whole load of new characters.
Yeah.
That we then don't get enough time with.
No.
I mean, the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, Jana, it would have been interesting to see more of her. Although, I don't know, maybe she's now being set up for a spin-off of...
Better not. I'd be amazed if they were, frankly.
I don't know. It's Disney. They like to make money.
They do, but, you know, she's a woman of colour in Star Wars.
Oh, no, yes, no, you're absolutely right on that, yeah.
I'm so cynical about the whole thing. I'm so sorry.
No, to be honest, I wasn't necessarily thinking from Jana from that point of view, that there would be a film of hers, but more, I mean, do you think, I think we are definitely going to see some of these characters again. I mean, I'm really hoping in a way we don't see Rey, Finn or Poe.
Oh, interesting, okay.
I mean, I really like them, but if you said this is the end of it, the sodding needs to be the end of it. Whereas I think what they could do is with some of the other characters. I mean, this is it actually. Maybe this is the whole plan. There wasn't much Rose because they're going to do a Rose film.
Well, yeah, that would be pretty good. I would enjoy that. You know, the core of engineers that she now assembles to bring peace to the universe with all these, whatever's something amazing.
And on our on that track as well, one of the things I did, a little thing which I did enjoy, is we had more female stormtroopers this time. One, Jana herself, but also even before that, when they were in their armour, there were some women's voices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which was nice.
So I think we're through a lot of the guff. The stuff that we've had to slough through to get to it. What else really stood out for you? What were the things? I think you said there were lots of small moments and things that when you look back on it, you go, yeah, that was cool, I enjoyed that.
Well, one specific small moment is called Babu Frick.
Okay, right, yep.
And he's just adorable.
So that's Shirley Henderson, I think.
I have no idea.
Playing...
I don't know who... Is that somebody I should know?
So Shirley Henderson is in a lot of stuff. She's in Trainspotting and various things. She's very famous as Moaning Myrtle from the Harry Potter films.
Oh, of course, yes, I know who she is.
And she...
Yes, Bridget Jones.
Yes, she's in Bridget Jones films. She's in Marie Antoinette. And she is starting to be... Suddenly, her name is cropping up in a lot of places, which is good. She was in Girl from the North Country on the West End stage as a woman... I think suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, something along those lines, and she was incredible. And she got the moment where she got to belt out one of the great Dylan songs in the middle of it, and for someone who was quite diminutive, she belted it out. So, she earned a lot of respect for that, and then knowing that she played this weird character in this that everyone has loved so much just makes it even better.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I wasn't getting a lot of all of that performance in Babu Frick.
No, it's such a small thing, isn't it?
I just thought he was cute. And particularly in combination with him and C-3PO. So that's another thing. C-3PO, I have never been that bothered about him, other than the fact he's Star Wars, therefore, yay. I was at Team R2-D2. But... in this one, the moment where he says, I'm taking a last look at my friends. Oh, that was quite heartbreaking.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, they immediately undid it.
Yeah.
But that and him going the red eyes when he was doing the Sith language was quite cool.
That's very cool.
But yeah, it was that emotional moment. And so then the combination between him and Babu Frick, when he sees Babu Frick and he's, oh, my oldest friend.
Yeah, that's
I like
good.
that a
that's
lot.
Good. And it funny because it was a fairly heartbreaking and heartwarming moment. What happened there, compared to Revenge of the Sith, where there was a joke line at the end: "Wipe the golden droid's memory," and that's it. His memory is just wiped to the prequels, and it's like, oh, that's a good throwaway gag. bit weird, killing a character.
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of people who volunteer for a wipe of the prequels. But as I say, I don't count myself among them. Okay, but right, I now have my list of gushy things. So shall I just work through it?
Yeah, just throw some out at us. Yeah.
Excellent. When Chewie hears that Leia's died, I mean, I thought there was just that actually is one of that C-3PO, but that was one of the bits that actually I didn't tear up at all.
Okay.
But I got a little sort of, I felt that.
Right.
I think it's probably one of the few bits in the film where I really felt it.
And is that because that's characters you have already emoted with, of course? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of weight.
The thing is, the actor obviously did it well and fell to the ground, but I think it's the weight of everything behind it. And he does seem to be the I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering, but no one else seems that upset about Leia. Not considering that, what she is. One, what she's been in the previous stories, and two, the fact that the out in the real world, what has happened with Carrie Fisher and how beloved she was. I don't know. It just felt like all of that went into
just that one
Chewie just like collapsing onto the floor.
There was a lot of film in this film, so did they deem that was enough?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, you couldn't pack much more in, I guess. But I mean, just particularly given the context.
Absolutely.
Because when Leia died, I didn't. Sorry, this is my gushing list, but I'll just slightly tangent. In The Last Jedi, when I thought Leia was going to die when she was outside the spaceship, I was just like in tears and what have you. And then, therefore, when she actually died, I just had no reaction, which I wanted to have a good sob.
And is that because at that point you did expect it to come somewhere in this, maybe?
No, because I actually expected it in The Last Jedi, because I expected that even though they'd filmed it and everything, that they'll try and do something to mean they haven't got a problem going forward.
Yeah.
So no, it wasn't that. I just think it was, as I said, I just didn't emotionally connect this time.
Got it.
Right, back to the gushing list. The Death Star wreck I thought was super cool.
Yes.
I thought they did that beautifully.
I would absolutely agree. It looked really good, and I like how real it felt. It didn't feel like lots of CG and green screen stuff like the prequels.
No, very substantial.
Yeah.
And it's quite exciting because isn't that our first planet that is more than one thing?
Possibly, yeah. What?
Because it's not just water, is it? Because there's the bit when they're on land with the space horses.
It's the old thing of like wait until George Lucas finds out there's a planet with desert and fire and water and.
But yeah, I thought one, it just looked beautiful. Beautiful, not mean stunning. But also the callback then to the Emperor's chair and where it's kind of turned round and you're just waiting for it to spin round and he's in it. I thought that was that was done really well. And missed mentioning this when we talk about Rey, but Dark Rey I thought was very cool. And I just wanted to see so much more of her.
Right. And
I would, what if absolutely Palps is back, but he's back as Dark Rey, and Rey has to fight Dark Rey is the villain throughout.
Yeah, that would have been cool. And I think, like we mentioned, that she had a vision. Don't tell me she has a vision.
Yes, show me the vision.
You can give me visions.
And particularly because we saw how cool this throne is.
Yeah.
That her and Kylo sat on it. No, I only said that because she said that was her vision. She saw Kylo on the throne with her.
Yeah. That would have been interesting. Are they sat in their laps? Is it is it a chaise long kissing couch type thing?
I hadn't quite got down to that level of detail by thinking about it, but now it's all I will be able to think about.
It's not 2 seats. You don't have 2 seats on a throne.
No, because actually thinking about it from memory, I don't think it is.
It's a big chair. They snuggle in side by side.
While we're on Exgol is just a really cool name.
Okay.
Slightly clutching at straws.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of like Exxon and Exxon Valdez and.
Oh God. Well, yeah, oily. Yeah. When Palps was talking to Kylo at the beginning, and he was saying, I've been, and the whole explaining of him being the puppet master, I've been every voice inside your head. As a concept, I wasn't mad about it, but with the way they did it, where they actually shifted the voices from Palps to Snoke to then to Vader, I thought that was very nicely done.
Yeah. Again, that feels like it could have then been set up. Just a line, just a hint, something in a previous film about there's someone else doing this. Or when you finally get there, you can read it that way or something.
Yes, if they had known Palps was coming back before this film, but I just don't think they did.
No, not at all.
What else have I got here? Just like, I thought some of the humour was good. So when Rey's doing the mind tricks with the stormtrooper, and then Poe's like, "Does she do that to us?" Yeah, you can completely see her doing that. When Poe's being a pain in the ass, she just does a little wipey.
That would be quite fun, actually. I'd like that.
And then I think the last two I've got is the little shrug that Ben gives before he starts fighting the Knights of Ren. Did you catch that on the first watch?
I didn't.
Look out for it. It's just it's kind of, he's surrounded by the Knights of Ren, and I think it's when he's got the saber, I think, by that stage. And it's just kind of, all right, let's do this. And there's just something about it.
Nice.
Yeah,
like
did him to me. Absolutely. And then finally, it was actually, I did really like the foreshadowing of using Rey using Force Lightning. And sort of setting that little setup.
Yes.
That she was going to be the granddaughter. And in fact, that entire scene I thought was really good, where you've got Kylo's absolutely gorgeous TIE fighter coming in, and then the jump to her leaping over it and cutting off the wing.
Yeah, that's nice.
I thought that whole, her running before and everything, I just thought was beautifully done. Thankfully, I didn't watch any of the trailers.
Right. Okay.
Because I never watch a trailer if I can manage it for one of these films that I know I'm going to go and see.
I normally don't. I couldn't not.
Really? I mean, it took some. I was so angry when I found out, because of some Twitter moment or something, that the Palps was back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
No. So the bit with the Force lightning is great, and this is the thing with Chewbacca's death. Like, that would not be a bad way to kill him. If you're going to kill a major character, it has to be something significant. So it either has to be they go down fighting, which is how. So Chewbacca was killed in the books. They did this very cool thing where they were doing like trilogy after trilogy of books, and they were doing okay. And then they said, actually, we're going to do something completely different. They did a 20-book series set over a couple of years, and it's really intense. It's really good stuff. And in book 1, they kill Chewbacca. Spoilers for like a 20-plus-year-old book. And it's basically he's killed saving Han and Leia's youngest son as a moon crashes on the planet they're on. And like there's this whole thing of him raising his arms towards the planet, towards the moon as it crashes into him. So it either has to be that, or it has to be something dreadful like Rey kills him with powers she doesn't quite understand. And I would have bought it. I would have gone, wow, that's a choice. So it was a good moment. In that moment, yeah, that was good. That was Star Wars doing something a little bit different. And then they didn't. And then there were no consequences for anything.
I think that's the thing. Is it does feel that lack of consequences. And if I thought about it more before, I probably might be able to find some other ones.
No, that's a good list.
Maybe not.
Because there are, these are good actors, and there is good cinematography and good choreography. It is solid, and this is why I came out from it going, oh yeah, that's good. And then you think about it more and more, and you go, but.
I think it's one of those things. As I say, unless it's going to be on Disney Plus straight away, then when it comes out on digital in April, I will buy the bloody thing.
Okay.
And I do think that it might be one of those ones that are more watchers, because I will have got further away from the disappointment element of what it could have been. Mm-hmm. And then because the other ones that I've seen, to be honest, I don't really sit down and watch the prequels all the way through, or really even the original trilogy, unless I've not seen it for a long time. Okay. It's more, I'll have it on. Well, I don't want to concentrate very much on something, or you're doing some life admin or something like that, because then you pay attention to the bits that you really like. Yep. And you go, oh, cool, it's that thing again.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry too much about the bits that you don't love. So I think after a while this will go higher in my estimation.
Okay. Yeah, it will be interesting to see it again and take it in those terms, because even the prequel trilogy, like, there are bits of those that just turn me off so much, but I can now utterly watch and go, but actually that's really good. That the lightsaber fight there is really good. The pod fight's really good. Pod, whatever it's called, pod racing.
Race.
And other stuff that has happened since to change bits of the canon and bits of your consideration of it that have gone like, okay, that does help. Particularly, so I'm hoping there might be another one of these. There's a show called Robot Chicken, if you've ever seen it.
I've heard of it, but no, I don't. I've not seen it.
Kind of a sketch, a pop culture sketch show, using action figures to do scenes of comedy. And they did 3 Robot Chicken Star Wars specials.
I'm going to have to watch these, aren't I?
Yeah, and some of them go into properly, like, here's the bit that for me stands out above everything else. This is why I call him Papa Palpatine, it's Palpatine in a meeting in his little room that we see in episode 3. And he gets a phone call, so he presses, opens it up on speakerphone, he's like, go for Papa Palpatine. And it's Darth Vader calling him to tell him the Death Star's been destroyed. And he's just like, what the hell is an aluminum falcon? And there's lots of stuff like that add to the canon of what went on that you consider when you watch them back now. So I'm hoping there might be more like that for these films to sort of help it, just grease the wheels a bit.
And I do think the catharsis of having this conversation in itself, but to just that little bit of time as well, that it will just be just the fact that Star Wars is exciting. I mean, when I went back to watch it the second time, knowing what I was going into, when it comes up on the screen with the fanfare and everything, I still massive grin on my face because, oh my god, it's Star Wars. So, and this still was this did feel like a Star Wars film. I think JJ was very good at that. I just didn't feel it was a very good film.
No.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'd kind of been set up to expect more.
No, it doesn't hold together to go like, well, at least I saw a thing. It was lots of fetch quests and people chatting and stuff.
MacGuffins.
Yeah, exactly. Which I feel like we're getting a lot of in pop culture at the moment, and it's filler. Give me actual scenes between people rather than forcing them to have to go and find a knife and hold a knife up in the right place, because that's what the Goonies did with a coin. So.
Oh, the knife thing. How does that even work?
Right.
Because you have to stand at exactly the same place. You have to make sure that none of the Death Star wreckage has fallen off, or slightly dislodged because of the massive waves. And
yeah, it's just
and the answer was no, sorry, I'm just going to start complaining now. So I don't think you needed it. They go there, they go to their start, they find the throne room. Oh, there it is.
I'll tell you one of the things I liked. It's one thing that I can probably think of, like, oh, that was interesting. And partially because it's not explained, is the creature things at Palpatine's lair. Whatever the choir were and the things that were working on all this stuff, like, whatever they were.
Choir.
Well, because I've heard, and this is the thing I'm most looking forward to watching it back for, is apparently they are chanting Duel of the Fates. The song that comes on that was written for episode 1.
Yeah.
And apparently that's the song they're singing. And I'm like, okay, that's very cool.
Oh, that's very cool. I had not clicked that that's what that was.
And I don't know if it is. I just saw it on a tweet from a funny guy.
They were definitely chanting.
Yeah. So,
but it might have just gone over my head because Duel of Fates is, I think, some of the best music in.
But that was cool because
Star
it
Wars.
wasn't explained. It's just there are these weird things looking after Palpatine, and we don't know what it is. I could have done with a bit more about how he's back, but I don't need to necessarily know. It's just this weird, creepy Sith thing, and that's good.
Yeah, what Hobbit Man said. He said, he said, "Oh, dark magic, cloning."
Okay.
So Palps is meant to be a clone.
Yeah.
And also because then you saw the bits of leftover Snoke clone.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I think that's. But yeah, so I will leave it to you so you can keep it as being a mystery. But the Twitter account has told us
they
who they
told
are.
us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
But yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was a good atmosphere. I hadn't picked up what the actual what they were singing. But yeah, I thought that added to it. This sort of legion of creepy dudes.
Creepy Sith dudes.
Yeah.
Have we covered everything you wanted to cover? Has this been the of Rise of a Skywalker that you wanted?
Yeah, I apologise to anyone because it does feel a bit like it was just a blah, and more of a brain dump than your more structured and thought out things you do with Mandy. But
no, it's good because there is a lot to this film, as we've said. So we wanted to just dig into it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm genuinely looking forward to, I don't know, 6 months, a year, or what have you, where I am just watching it and going, oh yeah, it's Babu Frick, or oh, it's that really cool bit where they do the lightsaber swap.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that time.
Yes, yeah, and be able to look past all the other things.
Yeah.
Good. Where can people find you? Where are they able to pick up on even more of your thoughts about pop culture?
Well, it's very exciting as I have a new account on Twitter. I've split because I've had for years one that's basically just my name, Laura Stuart-Berry.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to use that for work, and I don't think a lot of my work people wanted to hear too much about my thoughts on Star Wars. And so I have a new personal account to talk about geeky stuff, and that is at Laura Geeks Out.
Nice. Go and follow, go and hear all the interesting things, because you just randomly come out with, I saw this thing, and here's my thoughts. It's great.
Yes,
Love
I do.
it.
Yes, universe, you need to know my opinions.
Exactly.
No one else will bloody listen to you, so I have to type it into this machine.
Well, I'm sure there will be more of this. I'm sure there will be more films that we want to have a chat about, so I'm hoping you will come back and gush or complain or take apart things and put them back together in a way they should have been.
Well, we need to talk about Birds of Prey, whether it's
we
recorded
do.
or
We
not.
probably do need to do something on that at some point, because that was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, and it would be lovely to gush again. I mean, I know the last 2 times we've talked about Pride and Prejudice and the Thomas Crown Affair, they were just gush fests. So this is probably bringing some balance to the force by having one that isn't quite so much. But yeah, I have to say, I do like the ones we gush about.
Okay. Well, bringing on Pride and Prejudice, one of the greatest romance novels ever written. There was likely to be some good stuff to be found in there. Terrific. I will wish you a good day. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Tell us your thoughts on Star Wars if you saw it, if you haven't seen it and are going to see it, because it's one of the reasons Mandy's not here. She's not seen it yet, which again tells you a lot about a Star Wars film. But we will wait to find out what other people think. Do hit us up on Twitter, comments, Patreon, all the different places. And we hope to see everyone soon.